are doing great today. Going to give it a couple minutes before getting in. Let me know if you guys can hear me. It's going to be a great stream. We're going to go over what has happened in the market over the past week, followed by what are my thoughts for rate cuts and the subsequent days afterwards. So again, good to see everyone in here as always. Brian first, good to see you here. Hootie says, what's up, CryptoData? Hope everyone's having a blessed Monday. Yes, hope you guys are having a great week. He says, I put in a short on Sol at 240, 5x leverage. I'm in profit and have a TP at 230. You think it's a good trade? Yeah, so actually Solana is near support. So 226 is major support, but it's actually bouncing nicely from around, that 232 level. So yeah, it's not a bad area at all. I would definitely say, though, make sure your stop loss is break even at least, so you're not losing any money if we have a big bounce. Bromes, what's going on? Good to see you. Nicholas, Maddie, Philip, Ghost Rider, Jerome, Rocco, Aga, An, Adonis, Rudra, Shakir, Ed, Pixel, Claudio, Dreamer, Nicholas, Nikolai, William, Sino, Ikur, Doolin, Victor, Angelotti, Nicholas Jaspers, Jor, Pollo Loco, Sino, Cena, Hax, Darren, Rudra. A lot of good people here, guys. So good to have you here. I see a lot of regulars. Like I said, it's going to be a great stream. Got about a minute and a half left before we start, but stay tuned. It's going to be a great one. There's a lot that's happened over the past week, so we'll go over all of it, especially tokens like Ed's mentioning, AVNT. That one was absolute monster. So props to people getting into that. And Philip, to answer your question, it's going to be probably in about 3 hours. So answer your question on that. So let's see. Yep, Maddie says, can't wait to hear your thoughts this week. Ed says, thoughts on AVNT? Looks like Hyperliquid, but better, lower fees, commodities, higher leverage, etc. Yeah, guys, AVNT is a monster, and it's going to go higher. Most likely 10x more than where it's at right now. But again, if you're buying it, I would just buy spot. I would not entertain leverage right now. Just keep that in mind because we're so volatile right now. So Brian says, audio is good. Awesome. Appreciate it. Good. And guys, just be aware. So this is going to be the last stream on my laptop because I finally got my desktop set up. I'm actually going to take a picture, probably share it on my X account. So if you guys aren't following me on X at the CryptoData, definitely follow me there. And I'm going to post my setup. I got a 57-inch Samsung ultra-wide monitor, the Secret Labs Magnus XL desk with glorious PC mouse, glorious keyboard, and some Kanto Aura 4 speakers as well. And so it's a great setup. It's a little echoey right now because I have luxury vinyl plank that I installed versus carpet, but nonetheless, it will be a great setup. So without further ado, guys, let's go ahead and get started. So going over the liquidation data for today, we have 443 million being liquidated with longs of 369 versus shorts of 73. So obviously most of the longs were liquidated today. Now, the biggest thing with this is, as you know, myself, I like it whenever we have nearly $1 billion of liquidations, because what that means is we're either closer to a local top or a local bottom. So in this case, we got 369 million of longs that were liquidated. It's a little bit closer. Again, it's not the number I'd like to see, but I will caveat it with this. We're looking bullish as far as the market because, I mean, Ed was mentioning AVNT, which those who don't know, it's a token like Hyperliquid. They have basically, you can trade on-chain perps as well as real-world assets, and so it's a lot better, lower fees, etc. But it went up over 3x on spot in a couple days, and so that tells you money is flowing back into the market. You have cards, you have the streamer meta, you have the AI narrative, etc. So, guys, there's a lot of narratives that are coming to play right now, and we're starting to see capital flow back into the market. So most likely, these retracements are going to get bought up. The only reason there's so much volatility right now is because of interest rate cuts and the uncertainty with that, which I will get into in a minute. Now, let's go ahead and look at liquidation data. So the 1 week liquidation data, you can see that there's a large cluster on Bitcoin near 113K on the 1 week. Now, if you go to the 24 hour, it's going to be near 113.5. But here's the thing, guys. So if you guys are thinking of longing Bitcoin, I'll tell you this, I would long between 112 to 114K with 10x leverage, okay? And I would place my stop loss at 109.5K. And I say that because yes, there's going to be volatility. Yes, we could go down a little bit more because the stock RSI is overbought, curving to the downside, the RSI is crossing below its signal line, etc. But like I mentioned, there's a lot more interest in the market, and I believe alt season is near if we haven't already started. And so these pullbacks are going to be more shallow and the pumps are going to be stronger. Like I said, it's going to depend on what Jerome Powell does for his rate cuts and what his forecast is. If he's forecasting there's going to be more rate cuts this year or less rate cuts this year, right? And that's going to be the biggest thing. So keep an eye on not necessarily the number for the rate cut, meaning 25 basis point or 50 basis point. Granted, a 50 basis point rate cut is going to be extremely bullish, but focus on the forecast. And if he's going to forecast more rate cuts this year or less, that's going to determine if we pump or not. If we have more, we're going to pump more. If we have less, we're going to pump less. All right, so let's go ahead and check out some news items. So there was a lot of news that happened over the past week. We're going to go over all of it and what I think. So gold is no stranger to now making all-time highs. And by the way, guys, after I go over these news items, then I'll answer some questions in the comments. So if you guys have any questions, go ahead and leave them there. But gold's reaching new all-time highs. And this is a big factor because I mentioned in my last stream, I said, people are losing confidence in the central banks. You're seeing that because the stock market's rising, but gold's rising as well. Like, you're not seeing them inversely correlated like they usually are. Treasury yields are near 5%, and now you're seeing people make a flight to safety for gold, but where do you think that money's going to flow after that? It's going to go towards Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies because now that's seen as a safe haven. Because the dollar has been devaluing for the past, even since the beginning of the year, right? So it's been devaluing so much, and we'll go over the chart as well. The chart is just in a straight downtrend. And with that, if the dollar continues to destabilize, what's continuing to appreciate and hold its value is seen as a hedge against inflation. Well, that's Bitcoin, right? So when you see gold reaching all-time highs with the stock market, you see treasury yields near 5%, you see, I mean, the dollar continuing to decline, like it's literally telegraphing that we're going to have a mass exodus from the dollar into crypto, into Bitcoin. And that's what everyone has been waiting for. We've seen it slowly happening where we had that, adoption from other countries, ETFs, DATs, et cetera. But guys, this is where that big shift is going to happen. It's going to come from the dollar destabilizing, and we're already seeing that come full swing. And in my opinion, it's only going to continue, and that's what's going to lead us to 150K Bitcoin by the end of the year and over a 6K Ethereum. So I'll go over more reasons from that and go over the TA side of it as well, but we're seeing a lot more adoption in the crypto space, and you'll see that with a few news articles that I'll cover in a second. So one of those being NASDAQ is investing $50 million in Gemini. So that's huge, guys. NASDAQ is, again, one of the top, right, stock trading platforms, right? And so stock trading companies. So when you see NASDAQ actually focused on Gemini and investing in it, I mean, that's telegraphing right there that TradFi is here to stay, and TradFi is fully adopting cryptocurrency. TradFi is $1 trillion market, guys, multi-trillion dollar. So what do you think happens whenever that money starts flowing into crypto like it already is? Vietnam approves a 5-year trial program for crypto trading platforms, so again, more adoption from other countries. CBOE launching continuous Bitcoin and Ethereum futures trading. For those who don't know, the CBOE is the Chicago Board of Options Exchange, so again, more adoption from TradFi. And then last week, remember, we had non-farm payrolls, PPI data, and CPI data that came out. So there's a ton of volatility last week. We even had 5 days of outflows on ETFs last week. Actually, no, sorry. It was 5 days of inflows, but nonetheless, we had a lot of volatility. So payrolls being revised down by 911,000 jobs, that just increased the argument for rate cuts, right? And so that was bullish in a sense. And then you also have the Director of Digital Assets, Patrick Witt, saying creating a strategic Bitcoin reserve is a top priority. Remember, guys, the government is still exploring ways to accumulate Bitcoin. They're still going to announce their accumulation plan for the SBR, whether that's via tariff savings, gold certificates, etc. But whatever a delta neutral strategy they come up with to buy more Bitcoin, they are going to announce it this year, I believe. And that's going to be the next catalyst for countries, nation states, everyone FOMOing in. Because if you know the government's going to purchase, let's just say, for example, a couple $1 billion worth of Bitcoin every single month for the next 2 years, totaling 40 billion plus Bitcoin, what do you think that's going to do to the price, guys? Like, just think about this logically. And that's the thing, is the government's all in on crypto. Trump is making billions of dollars in crypto for his family. You don't think he's going to ignore it? right, over the next few months. No, he's going all in. You're seeing these countries go all in. And it's just a matter of time before we see that accumulation plan come to fruition, as well as the Ethereum staking ETF, which we'll go over in a minute, and then a few other catalysts that I believe are going to have us reach that 150K level. Also, you have BlackRock CIO saying the Federal Reserve should cut interest rates by 50 basis points next week, which is this week. So you have a lot of big banks and big CIOs saying that 50 basis points is the way to go because we've spent so long delaying interest rate cuts. And I'll go over what I think, or when I think this cycle is going to top as well, because I don't think it's topped yet. But you're seeing now, because of that delay, this pushback of rate cuts, now this cycle is getting shifted to the right. And if we see the Fed cutting rates 50 basis points, that's just going to make loans cheaper. That's going to make, a lot more things more attractive. People are going to have more discretionary income. Housing is going to be cheaper for borrowing for loans. I mean, guys, there's just going to be a lot that's going to be really just money created out of thin air, if you will. The money printer is going to turn on. Again, people are going to have more money to spend. And so it's just going to be one of those things where you're going to see more adoption and more people investing in risk on assets. Now, also, we had Apple unveiling their iPhone 17. If any of you guys are getting that, okay, reconnection successful. Okay, reconnection successful. So sorry about that, guys. Yeah, there's a little disconnect in the audio there. So looks like that was just lagging a little bit. But like I was saying, Apple's releasing new iPhones. And then also you have India is fearing regulatory cryptocurrencies would grant them legitimacy. So again, India is always iffy on cryptocurrencies. And that's the biggest thing, is making sure that eventually they are going to adopt it. And so I wouldn't look too close into that. Also, you had PPI fall to 2.6%, lower than expectations, which does increase the chance of a rate cut as well. And then you also have SEC Chair Paul Atkins saying the agency will ensure capital can be raised on chain. So again, more adoption from there. Now, this is what I was talking about. So the SEC is delaying staking for BlackRock spot ETF. Now, they're not outright rejecting it. And this is something to keep in mind, because whenever you have BlackRock applying for something via like an ETF, guys, this is the thing that's going to launch Ethereum, because what's going to happen is once this staking ETF gets approved, institutions are going to be able to stake their Ethereum over and over and restake it and earn APY. It's something called rehypothecation. Go ahead and look it up, but it basically means that you can restake your Ethereum over and over and continue to earn yield, but you do suscept yourself to slashing risk if there's a bad actor within the pool. So that's something to keep in mind. But nonetheless, in my opinion, this is going to create another form of over-leveraged capital, similar to how Three Arrows Capital was over-leveraging themselves before the FTX collapse in 2022. It's going to be the same thing, guys. But at the end of the day, we know what happened with prices. We know what happened with discussions of a super cycle and how much prices were rising. And so it's going to happen again, guys. Like, once this ETH staking ETF gets approved, just Ethereum's going to launch $500 to $1,000 candle right away. Going to push us over 6K by the end of the year. And I'm here for it, and I cannot wait. Also, you said JP Morgan says institutional adoption for crypto is still in the early phases. Love to see it. Then you had U.S. inflation rises to 2.9%. So again, kind of shaky as far as rate cuts for that. But nonetheless, the Fed is still committed to cutting rates. Also, you had the 30-year fixed mortgage rates record record biggest drop in a year. That is something that's great to see. And then you have BlackRock exploring launching tradable ETF tokens on the blockchain. So this was something that was big as well. And this was something that was announced basically everywhere, is BlackRock is going all in. Remember, they're very bullish on RWA, real world assets, and tokenizing assets on the blockchain. So now they're exploring doing it themselves. Guys, the RWA narrative is going to gain so much traction again. And that's why we've seen AV&T, Avantis, gain so much traction, rise over 300% in over a day, because of things like this, where you have something that you can trade RWA on, real world assets on, and you can trade perps. I mean, it's better than Hyperliquid. It's going to go higher, and you're just seeing more adoption across the board. Also, you had DTTC list Fidelity Solana ETF and Canary's XRP ETF. So that's why you've seen Solana perform so well. Remember, Solana, one, they had their ETF, but two, also there are some digital asset treasury companies that were investing in Solana. So DATs. DATs are the new kid on the block that most people were not expecting. Imagine Michael Saylor, but if he's buying other tokens besides just Bitcoin. That's what DATs are in a sense, right? They're just buying more Bitcoin, millions of dollars worth. Buying other cryptocurrencies, millions of dollars worth, not just Bitcoin. So we have a Solana DAT, we have Ethereum DATs, And those, whenever a DAT is formed, even for Doge, I think Doge had some DATs, but you're seeing now all that buying pressure come into these altcoins, not to mention ETFs now are getting approved. And so after the Solana ETF, we have the Doge ETF launching this week, and that's going to be something that is going to create more pressure, buying pressure for that. But again, you're seeing why there's so much money flowing in because these ETFs are getting approved. Now, also, you have Polymarket partnering with Chainlink to launch 15-minute crypto price markets featuring near instant settlement and industry-leading security. Chainlink has been doing amazing, guys. Now, I know the price has been a little iffy, but nonetheless, I mean, remember, they have RWA integrated. They're actually, I believe the U.S. government was utilizing Chainlink's Oracle and their tech for helping run things on the blockchain, I believe. So Chainlink is definitely partnering with a lot of big companies, with governments, and so don't sleep on that. I believe Chainlink's going to have a run sooner rather than later. Then also, you have JP Morgan saying, expecting the Federal Reserve to cut rates by 25 basis points next week. So this is another reason why I believe that, again, and I'm going to mention this in a minute about what I think is going on from the front running of rate cuts right now and why we're selling off. But you're seeing a lot of people expect 25 basis points, which, yes, most likely that's going to happen. If you look at the CME Watch tool, expectations are over 90% that they're going to cut 25 basis points. So if they do cut 50 basis points, we're pumping massively. And even if we only cut 25 basis points, I think that people expected a sell the news event on the 17th. So they're actually selling ahead of that sell the news event. So it ends up becoming a buy the news event. Like, there's so much game theory going on with this rate cut on the 17th that it's hard to predict. But in my opinion, I think it may be a buy the news, guys. I think it may be a buy the news. And originally I was saying sell the news 100%, but now so many people are thinking sell the news because there's expectations of a 25 basis point cut that it may just be buy the news because we're already selling off right now, right? It's a lot of that going on over the past couple weeks. Also, you had Tether to launch US-based stablecoins, USAT, and then crypto prediction platform Polymarket valued at up to $10 billion in VC investment offers. Remember, guys, prediction markets are the future. Gambling markets are the future. That's why you're seeing all these crazy valuations. That's why you're seeing all these narratives, all these coins really pumping off of those narratives. And so you just have to follow the narratives and just invest accordingly because the market is very rotation heavy still. But that doesn't mean you can't make a lot of money. And that, that's what we're focused on with Gym Hunters as well, is just trying to make sure you guys are making as much money as possible and really front running these narratives as much as possible. So keep that in mind as well. If you haven't joined the premium Gym Hunters group, it's in the description. If you haven't joined the free Telegram group, in the description as well, definitely join those. But there is a lot of opportunity still in the market. Also, you had Michael Saylor buying $60 million worth of Bitcoin recently. So that's good to see. He also telegraphed it on September 14th, hinting at buying more Bitcoin. So usually, after 12 hours, that ends up coming to fruition. Then also you have Trump saying pending SEC approval, companies will no longer be required to report earnings quarterly, but instead every 6 months. Guys, this is awesome because now you're going to have less reporting requirements. Therefore, they're going to be able to operate, I would say, a little more freely, right? And they're not going to have to worry about reporting quarterly. So maybe they're going to be able to take more chances. Maybe they're going to be able to take more risks or just, operate longer, maybe with different stipulations versus knowing they're gonna have to report quarterly. So in my opinion, it's gonna just have more freedom and, get more freedom for certain companies. And so that's gonna be great to see. And then this is a big one here is PayPal is integrating with Bitcoin and Ethereum into its new peer-to-peer payment system. So what does this mean? This means that you'll be able to send Bitcoin to other people, send Ethereum to other people through PayPal, guys. So you can already custody Bitcoin and Ethereum on PayPal, but now you'll be able to send it to other people just like you can send money to other people on PayPal. So this is what I mean by a full adoption. Like when you have now, because there's a lot of boomers that use PayPal, right? And they're not really into crypto as much. But imagine this. Imagine if you send someone Bitcoin on PayPal that is not even into crypto. That's another vehicle, another area of adoption that hasn't been explored yet, but now it is, right? And so that's something that's very exciting and something that's just going to help people get interested in the market. So great to see on there. Then also you had President Trump to speak with Chinese President Xi Jinping on Friday to finalize the TikTok deal. So I'm not sure if Trump's going to buy TikTok outright or a large share of it, but nonetheless, that's going to be good to see. And yeah, so again, a lot of good news items, guys. And so definitely keep that in mind. Is like I said, there's more adoption going on. And so don't think that there's not a lot going on in the background because of the volatility. Still plenty of adoption from institutions, from companies, from countries, nation states, etc. And it's only going to accelerate. Also, guys, if you aren't following me on X at the CryptoData. Definitely do so. I give you guys the best content I can, and I make sure that you guys are getting up-to-date analysis, especially with my TA for Bitcoin, motivational quotes. I give you guys everything. So definitely make sure you guys are following me if you aren't. Always much appreciated. And also, guys, if you haven't liked the stream, please like it. We got 188 viewers and only 42 likes. If you guys would like the stream, that would help spread this to the masses. Also, if you haven't subscribed to Jim Hunter's YouTube channel, definitely do so as well. Always much appreciated for that. So with that said, let's go ahead and answer some questions. So I know there was a lot here, so let me scroll to the top and then go from there. Pollo Loco says, any thoughts on Linea? Heard it's an institutional play. Yeah, Linea, I've seen some bullishness for. Linea, I think it'll be good. It'll be good. Sino says, long World Liberty Fi 100X. I think World Liberty Fi is probably going to be a hated rally. Yeah, so WLFI. Hack says, do you think now is a great time to buy? I think we're getting close. I think we may have another pullback for another day or two, but yeah, I would look to DCA at major support levels. Darren says, excited for today's stream. Awesome. Rudra, hey bro, how's it going? Are you Luke Belmar? Rudra, I am not Luke Belmar. My name is John Luke. We sound similar, but we are not the same. Granted, we'll probably both be at Token 2049, so make sure you guys say hi if you're there. Nigel, fire emoji. Awesome. A lot of good stuff, guys. Stelly says, short the market. I wouldn't short right now, even if we may drop a little more. I think that rate cuts are going to cause some nice volatility both ways. Don, he says, I'm calling shots on my trades, but not sticking through long enough to see the real profits. I'm impatient. Any advice for me? The advice is you're probably over leveraged and you're overexposed, meaning say you have $1,000 in your portfolio, you're probably betting that whole 1,000 or at least half of it, 500. Therefore, you want something to happen right away, or you get scared if price goes against you, so you close out your trade. So Don, for you, what I would tell you for advice, lower the leverage, lower the trade amount, and then just stick with it. Because that way, let's just say out of $1,000, you only trade $100 or $50 at 5x leverage. Well, you're going to let that trade play out because you don't have a lot of money in there, so you need it to play out to make a lot, right? And so I think that's a way to help, psychologically help you stay in the trade longer. Nikolai just hit a banger of a 10-hour trade for liquidity sweep and a break of structure. Awesome, Nikolai. So happy for you. That's great, man. Marco, hey, what means 5-10x leverage? It's the risk you put in, like how you calculate that. Yeah, so Marco, you can also ask ChatGPT. It'll give you a long explanation, but basically it means that you're using the exchange's money. So let's say you bet $100 at 5x leverage. You're using $500 worth, and that's your margin size. And so if a token goes up 10%, well, then 5x leverage, 10 times 5, you earn 50% on your initial investment. So you would earn 50% on your $100 that you put in at 5x leverage, right? So you see how that makes sense? So you're trading with more money than you currently have. But again, with that comes a liquidation price where you can lose all your money if price gets to a certain level. So that's the difference between that and spot trading. What's going on, Sanchit, Rami, Santiago? Philippos says, I'm considering joining Jim Hunter. Should I do so? Yeah, guys. So if you have extra discretionary income, I mean, definitely. Jim Hunter's right now is 1 Ethereum for a yearly subscription. So you're going to get more leverage calls, more live streams, more meme coin calls, more Gem Alpha, etc. Actually, AV&T was called in the premium group at 43 cents. So for those who are curious. So that's a big pull as well. I know a lot of people are looking at. Kate, what's going on? Good to see you here. Tim, what's up? Ben, the poor, hi from Bulgaria. I love Bulgaria. Good to see you here. Bjorn, what's up? What's going on? Leviathan, let's make some money count. Exactly. Manifest, what's going on? Lemek, what's going on? Red Card, bro, how have you learned trading scalping books to recommend? So Red Card, I would recommend Trading in the Zone by Mark Douglas. Trading in the Zone by Mark Douglas. Great, great book. Helps with market psychology as well. Dreamer, yes, like the stream, guys. Please like it. That would mean the world. 192 viewers, 67 likes. Would appreciate that. Bromes, what's going on? Nikolai on Sol. Awesome. Nikolai made some good money on Sol. Drickus, just took a fart coin long. What do you think? Yeah, at 80 cents and 72 cents. Good levels to long fart coin. Devindo, I am new. Hey, good to hear. Good to have you here, David. Red Card, bro, have you learned? Oh, yep. So, yeah, Trading in the Zone by Mark Douglas. Pixel says, hi, CD. I'm new to crypto and my wallet with a decent amount of Sol got drained. What should I do? So first, sorry to hear that, Pixel. But two, make sure you're diversifying your assets across various platforms, meaning MetaMask, Phantom Wallets, BloFin Exchange, Binance Exchange, Coinbase Exchange, etc. So if you diversify your assets across multiple vectors, then at that point, if one gets drained, then you're still going to have money on others. Also, I would say never answer DMs of people who try to get personal information from you, even if it looks like it's a legitimate person. Never answer DMs, never click airdrop links, never answer your emails, text messages claiming that you had an unauthorized withdrawal. Always go to the official website first. Never click links in emails or text messages or even phone calls. If someone asks you, if they claim they're from Coinbase support calling you, guys, it's a scam. It's a scam. So that would be the best practices, I would say, for managing your risk in the space. Mr. Me, love you too. Red card. Let's see. Aga says, where do you think SOL price is going? I think that potentially we could go to 220 if we do continuing declining from here. But if you're talking long term, 350 to 500. Hootie, what's going on? Let's see. What's going on? Hard facts. Good to see you here. Sanchez says your thoughts on XRP. Still net bullish on it. Lewis, GM, thumbs up already in. Hope you're doing well. Hey, appreciate you, Lewis. Thanks for the like. Botified, what's going on? Good to see you here. Adonis, thoughts on rate cuts? So I do think that most likely it's going to be 25 basis point cut, but that may indicate if Jerome Powell is dovish and said we're going to have multiple rate cuts this year, then the next one's probably going to be 50, right? And so people could maybe have a short-term sell-off and then pump afterwards. I think that's more likely if we have 25 basis points, like a short-term drop and then pump, because we're already seeing the drop right now. We're already seeing a front run of the rate cuts. And so I think that any drop that we have on the day will get bought up and will be a good buying opportunity. Lucas says, good morning, CD. Reminder to drink milk. Yes, milk has strong bones. Also, guys, for drinking milk, get the organic vitamin D milk. It's very good for you. Grass-fed. Darren, CD, why do you think AVNT will go higher? Because it's being compared to Hyperliquid. And you know how good Hyperliquid did. And so it's technically better than Hyperliquid with lower fees and RWA integration. So now it's just, like I said, it's just going to go higher. Because obviously if you have better tech, then you look at the valuation of something that is comparable and you can expect to at least reach half, if not full, of that valuation. Ben says, BTC moving really strange today. I'm always waiting for the liquidity taken below 114.2 and 113.6. FOMC coming. Tomorrow is going to be violent. Yes. Yeah, Ben. 100%. You nailed it. Place buy orders near those liquidity sweeps and be very good. Let's see. Philippos, I answered that question already. If you can afford it and you have the discretionary income to do so, then yes. Sanchit. Let's see, went over XRP. Mahedi, I'm a decent trader. Recently got interested to shoot videos and editing skill. How should I balance between trading and filmmaking? So here's what I'd say, Mahedi. Do the 2 and 2 together, right? So if you're not trading full time and it's just a hobby, I mean, still make videos, but just maybe make, videos 2 or 3 times per week. And so I would say if you're passionate about filmmaking, which it sounds like you are, just do it a couple times a week while you're still trading. It's like, you could make or have days where you're just filmmaking and have days where you're just trading, so you can focus on one or the other. But you can definitely do both. It's just organizing your schedule ahead of time so that you know what day is going to be for filmmaking, what day is going to be for trading, because both take full commitment. Sanchez says, thoughts on ETH? I think right now is a good level to long, potentially 44.80, and then DCing at 4,300. GMGM Mirza says, we didn't have any lessons stream yesterday. Will we still get that? Yes, that's going to be tomorrow, Mirza. Thanks for the reminder. Mista says, fiat for the win. There you go. Brian says, BTC. Let's see. Philip says, there is no AVNT spot on BloFin. Can we instead make a 1x trade? Yes, you can, Philip. Yes, good point. 1x trade on BloFin will be the same, more or less, as doing spot. Sanchez says, thoughts on Sol? Yep, just mentioned that. Drickus says, do you think rate cut will be bullish or sell the news? I think potentially sell the news initially, but then a strong bounce after. Angelotti says, regarding your Tesla and overall EVs, have you done research about EVs batteries potentially frying, causing male fertility issues due to EMFs, high temperature heated seats, ELF radiation, etc.? Angelotti, that's actually a good point, and I haven't researched that too much. I should, though. Honestly, I should. I've heard about potentially something happening with the EMFs, and so I'll look more into that more. I do appreciate you bringing that up, though. But it's the best car I've driven, 100%. The full self-driving is amazing. Everything about it's amazing. The handling, the suspension, the comfort, the room, the spaciousness, everything. Like, if you guys want a Tesla to buy, the Model Y 2026, best EV, period. Even best car, period. I would go as far as to say that. I mean, it's an amazing car. As for ACD, hope you're doing well. What interest rate cut are we going to have? Is it normalization panic, recession cut, and will they impact the market? Yep, just went over that. SWAR, good to see you here. Expecting probably 25 basis points, but then more cuts in the future. I think it's going to be bullish short term at least, though, as far as the money printer turning on and quantitative tightening stops. So that's the biggest thing. LMT says 2-week pullback after rate cuts. What do you think? Also, maybe we see ETH go 21 SMA during this pullback. So LMT, that's also another interesting perspective, because I know Benjamin Cohen was thinking ETH is going to go to its market support band at 3,500. So that's still on the table. I do think that's probably more unexpected than what I was saying, and so it's a possibility, right? I'm always looking objectively at what the chances are that we have a further pullback here. And so, yeah, that's very possible. We have a 2-week pullback because September is historically the most bearish month, and usually we do end up playing out for seasonality. So latter half being bearish, I mean, there's a lot of euphoria in the market, so I can't rule that out 100%. It says you're lagging. Hopefully I'm not lagging anymore, guys. Let me know if I'm still lagging. Mirza, if market dumps after FOMC, how long do you think we go? And how long will the dump last? If we pump, how long will the pump last before inevitably going down as everyone expects? Ooh, that's $1 million question, right? I do expect some type of drop, further between mid-September to mid-October, because we haven't really had a bearish month per se. And so if we have a drop afterwards, I could expect that. But probably towards the end of September, we'll have a drop into beginning of October, because people are expecting October to be bullish as it started Q4. And then from mid-October on, probably be bullish. Let's look at a few others. As far as says, also, what do you think of this conspiracy theory of BTC and crypto being used by US to clear the debts? Hey, I think it's possible. Whatever works. What's going on, Alexander, Nikolai? LFG, let's start ETH meme season. Yes, let's do it. Tim says, is this one of those times where you don't wait for the RSI, stock RSI to come all the way down? Yes, Tim, this is definitely one of those times, because as you know, in a bull market, you can rise and continue to be overbought and not fully come back down to that oversold level. So I do think we're getting close to there. And I do think if we're in alt season, 100%, the pullbacks will be shallow and the pumps will be larger. Hootie says, I still don't fully understand the concept of staking. Could you please explain further how it works? Yeah, so staking is just, by staking, you're basically becoming a validator for the network of sorts, and you are securing the network. So versus proof of work, where you're contributing your computing power to solve equations and solve calculations that help keep the blockchain secure. For staking, you're just contributing your tokens, becoming a validator, and then that in turn keeps the blockchain secure through that aspect. So remember, Ethereum went from proof of stake, or from proof of work to proof of stake, I believe in 2022 near September. And funny enough, that's when it started underperforming Bitcoin. So now potentially we'll start to outperform again, but nonetheless, yeah, that's what staking is. Helps secures the network in its own right. As for, I feel like money is going to flow to Bitcoin first because it dipped when alts were up, and I can see dip in ETH and alts this week. Very, very possible, as far. Tim, also, any narratives to put some money in and forget for, excuse me, guys, to forget for a little bit? Yeah, I would say AI and RWA. Those are some good narratives. Let's see. Marco says, what do you think about Doge? Good coin to invest in now. Doge isn't bad. Doge isn't bad. I'm gonna go over the chart on Doge as well. As for also CD, what are your plans for the bear market? Will you hold on to gold BTC, or should we load up for the next bull run and make sure to learn from this year's bull run? Most likely, I'm going to hold onto Bitcoin and gold, potentially silver as well, and then just kind of go from there, because I do think that Bitcoin's going to outperform, and I think it's good against the, especially as a flight to safety asset. But yeah, I think that most alts are going to go to zero. And so it would behoove you to take profits along the way, especially, 1/3 profits before the end of the year, 1/3 profits by, you could say end of January, and then 1/3 profits by April, May. Poppy says, tried front running cuts and lost a little over 2K. Sorry to hear that, Poppy. There's so much front running going on. It's hard to time it exactly. It's literally just a whole big thing of game theory. Tavo says, I applied to the premium Discord group but got no response. So potentially maybe your application was denied, or they just need to get to you. If I were you, I would email customer support for Gym Hunters and then let them know and see if they can respond afterwards. The trend trio, Hyperliquid getting beaten by Pump, Short Pump, or Hype. Ooh, yeah, Pump was doing good as well. That's what I said with the streamer meta. Pump was doing great. It surprised a lot of people going over 8 cents. Now, as far as which one to invest in or which one to short, as you put it, hard to say. Honestly, both are strong narratives. Like I wouldn't want to short either of them, but yeah, it's maybe Pump you could short because Hyperliquid, remember, Hyperliquid uses its fees and it buys back the token. So it's got a nice little flywheel going. Veer says, Bro, you coming to Bali for Sui event? I am not Veer, but I will be at Token 2049. So if any of you guys are there, let me know. Ed, commodities and stock market pumping whilst crypto dumping. Market manipulation? Could be, right? There's always something going on with that. But crypto seems more risk on asset versus stocks. And so we're probably just seeing slight risk adjustment with that. Ko says, what do you think of Sui chart? Can you take a look? Yeah, I'll look at that as well in a minute. Still got to go over half of the stream. And Sat says, please analyze Bella Protocol. Look at that too. SWR, remember the rule of no shorting in bull market. Exactly. I'd rather long at support versus shorting at resistance in a bull market. Videomatic, should we buy AVNT long term? I think it'd be a good bet long term. Shahed says, hey, I'm a beginner in crypto. How long should I start demo to real account? I would at least a month of a demo account before starting with real money. And when you do start with real money, very small. Keep it very small. I'm talking like 20 bucks, 50 bucks, like just something that'll get your feet wet, make you feel exposed, but at the same time, not make you panic too much if something doesn't go your way. But yeah, make sure you master your strategy at least over a month of a demo account. Make sure you watch, I even have video tutorials of technical analysis basics in the Gym Hunters YouTube. If you go to the live tab and go to the third video from the bottom, technical analysis basics will be where I go over how to draw support and resistance lines. So learn that at the very, very least, and then practice that with demo trading. And once you get a strategy that is consistently profitable, I'm talking maybe 60, 70% profitable, you know, meaning you win 6 to 7 times out of 10. Once you have that, then you can start using real money. Don says, makes sense. I do over leverage because of greed. Thanks. Ain't no problem, Don. That's the thing, right? A lot of people over leverage and then they panic when price moves against them and they get out. Have lower leverage. Let price do what it does because there's always volatility. Set your stop loss, set your take profit, and then let it ride. Magic, what's up, bro? Sui POV trade was never closed on Gym Hunters TG, but of course I closed it with satisfaction. You know, Magic, I'll look at Sui in a minute, but long term, I'm still bullish on Sui. So with that, let's go ahead and start the rest of the stream. Again, guys, if you haven't liked the stream, 183 people, 83 likes. Let's get us to 100 likes. That'd be awesome. Also, if you're not following me on X at the CryptoData, I provide you guys the best content I can. So definitely follow me on here. Is much, much appreciated. So let's go ahead and continue with the stream. So we got macro analysis here. So looking at the S&P. S&P is insane. What can I say? I mean, it's reaching all-time highs. It's at 66.05 today. The RSI is almost overbought on the weekly. So look how perfect this played out, guys. We called it here March 31st whenever the RSI was oversold, and then we had the perfect bounce, and now it's almost overbought. So this is going to be when we have a large pullback in the stock market. Now, something that I'm interested in is this pullback in the stock market going to pull down Bitcoin? Because usually they're correlated, maybe 70% of the time. But you still have that inverse correlation, and something we've seen even today, right? Stock market's making highs, whereas Bitcoin is retracing. And so they're not always perfectly correlated. So maybe this could be the flight to safety from stocks over to crypto, right? That's something that's a very real possibility. Because even look at this, guys, gold. Gold's making all-time highs after all-time highs. I still can't believe this. I can't believe what we're seeing with gold. I mean, it's incredible to say the least. And you see what I mean about the parallel correlation between stocks and gold. This never happens, guys, where you have stocks making all-time highs and gold making all-time highs at the same time. This should make everyone a little suspicious and really reinforce the fact that there is going to be that flight to safety to crypto, and people are not confident in the central bank because they're willing to take on risk and willing to invest in both assets. So we're going to have to see if this bearish divergence plays out because we're making higher highs and lower highs on the RSI. So still watching this. It's going to be a big dump in gold when that does happen. Now looking at crude oil futures, 63, nothing crazy there. Potentially may cross above its signal line in the near future, but again, nothing too crazy to mention right now. And then also you do have the dollar index. It is still declining. 97.30. I mean, this thing has been declining essentially since the beginning of this year. The RSI is close to crossing below its signal line. Guys, this is going to be a huge dump. Now, remember, the dollar is inversely correlated to Bitcoin. So if the dollar is declining, Bitcoin's going to rise and vice versa. Same thing with the S&P, though. It's not always inversely correlated, but nonetheless, it is still something to watch out for and something I believe is going to be a big catalyst for Bitcoin rising moving forward. Also, you have CoinGecko and the current market. So Bitcoin down 0.7%, Ethereum down 2.2%, XRP down 1.1%. The top gainers, you're seeing Mantle up 3.7%, Monero, Flare, Leo token. And look at this, Avantis, right? 35%. Avantis has just been outperforming like crazy. Like I mentioned, guys, a lot of different narratives, a lot of capital is coming back on chain into these good projects. So once you have real utility, which people now are investing in and see the promise of that, that's when you can make a lot of money, because now the game is, okay, what is the next Hyperliquid, or what is the next Zora, or what is the next, pump, or what is the next insert token of another token that pumped a lot, right? So looking for those and looking for those narratives come into play and actually have real world utility. That's what's the alpha this time around. Now we're getting away from a lot of the memes. Now we're getting more into those utility plays. And so you're going to see that continue to play out. And also, I mentioned AI narrative because someone was asking about what narrative should I invest in. AI and RWA. AI, and you're seeing with OpenX AI, 50% increase today. Also with BlackRock, themselves tokenizing assets on the blockchain, guys. That is going to be something that's going to help increase adoption. And so AI and RWA, good narratives, and then also looking at projects that have similar tech or utility to prior successful projects, because people always compare, they always shoot for the stars. While you may not reach them, you could reach the moon along the way. And so that's something to watch out for as well with some of these new and up and coming projects. Now, looking at on-chain data, is TVL flowing on-chain or off-chain, total value locked? Obviously today you're going to see a little decrease in the market. Money is being taken off chain, but still, look at the past week, look at the past month. You have a lot of inflows on chain, right? That is something to watch out for, because you have all of these different protocols gaining TVL, and that's something that's only going to continue, in my opinion, as more adoption continues. So keep an eye on that. In my opinion, I think we will see TVL continue to rise. And then looking at the fear and greed index, it's at 51. Now, guys, remember, it's not really greedy or fearful right now. It's more in the middle. So that's going to exacerbate the volatility we're seeing, because there's not really one strong direction. What I like to see for the fear and greed index is us getting just above greed. So around 60, 61, that would make for a nice sustained run, or even getting into fear below 40, because that would mean people are a little more scared and a little more opportunity cost as far as buying whenever people are fearful versus buying when they're greedy, right? Greedy makes runs sustained, but fear provides the better buying opportunity. So just kind of choose your player on that. But we'll have to wait and see where this goes over the next few days. Now, going over ETF flows, and then I'll go over some charts, and then I'll answer some more questions. So looking at ETF flows right now, remember, we're still waiting for today's ETF flows, but in the past, last week, we saw 5 days of inflows. For anyone that knows, whenever you have 5 days of inflows, expect a drop, because it's like a mean reversion trade, right? You only have so many days of consecutive inflows before you have an outflow day. Similar to if you have 5 days of outflows, well, now it shows that there's good opportunity in the market for a day of inflows shortly after. And so it's all a game with looking at that, looking at the amount of inflows or outflows. So today, probably going to have outflows, and we may have outflows for another day or two, right? And then we may have inflows towards the end of the week. So there's all kinds of game theory going on, but I'll wait to see, and I'll be very interested to see if we have positive inflows or negative outflows today. And then for Ethereum, same thing, right? So last week you had 4 days of inflows, which was great to see, because Ethereum, I mean, look at this. Ethereum had 6 days of outflows before finally starting to outperform again. We had 400 million of inflows on Friday. That was a big number, because Ethereum hadn't had that big of inflows, I mean, heck, probably since mid-August. And so great to see at least that interest is starting to come back. Remember, we still have the ETH staking ETF that is yet to get approved, but will get approved because BlackRock applied for it, and their record is 576 to 1. So Q4, I'm expecting an approval for ETH ETF, ETH staking ETF, mind you, and we'll see that reflected in the inflows and price as well. So with that, let's go ahead and look at the chart. So here I posted, like I said, that Bitcoin rejected off of the resistance of 116.8K. Now, if you're paying attention to the market updates that I posted in the Telegram, then you would see that we were expecting this because the stock RSI was overbought. We were coming up against resistance. I said we're probably going to get a pullback in the near future. And lo and behold, we got a pullback, guys. So this is something that was not out of the ordinary. I even said, you know, look to long near these major liquidity zones. Will probably sweep them. Right now, we got down to 114.3K. We didn't quite get to that 114K level that I was looking at. And since then, we bounced nicely. So that may be all we get. We may continue to rise from here. I don't think so because the stock RSI is still overbought. But remember what I said previously is in a bull market, especially like in a strong uptrend, which we started this past week, we could continue to see this continue to rise, right? Even staying in the overbought territory for extended periods of time. Although for, you know, a healthy retracement, I'd like to see us at least get below overbought at 80 and then before continuing to the upside. So the RSI is still very healthy, meaning we could still climb up to the upside. But like I said, from a risk reward perspective, 114K to 112K would be good areas to long. And then resistance right now, 115.8, 116.8. And then once we pass 116.8, look for 120K as the next area of resistance. Now let's go ahead and look at Ethereum. So Ethereum, I mean, we couldn't have made that long call any better. For any of you guys who got into that leverage trade on Ethereum, let me know because we made some good money on that. And we even took profit at 46.50 before the big drop, right? This is why a lot of people were saying, oh, I shouldn't have got out. I shouldn't have got out right before this drop. And look what happened. That's why I set my take profit levels where I take them, guys, because this was major resistance near 46.50. And what happened? We got just above that and we rejected, okay? So now we're at 44.80, which is a good support level. And then below that is 4,300. So the thing that you want to look out for is, one, the stock RSI was overbought. Now it's rejecting, starting to reset, which is healthy. But here is the million-dollar question. If we're going to cross below the signal line on the RSI or if we're going to bounce, this is something I'm waiting for. If we cross below it temporarily, may not be as bad, but if we full cross below it and then continue lower, that'll send us at least to 4,300. So like I said, I would have DCA levels at both places, with the next resistance being around 46.50. And then again, we have that 47.60 level coincides with this area of resistance, followed by 48.40. So a little $100 increments from there. Now also, let's go ahead and look at Solana. So Solana had an amazing run fueled by the digital asset treasuries, its ETF, and just the run we had on Pump and others. I mean, there was just a lot of TVL coming over to Solana, but we did reject off at 250, that psychological level. Now we're at 232. The next level I would look at, I'll be interested to DCA on Solana, would be 226, followed by 218. Those are two good levels to DCA. Again, same thing here. Stock RSI is overbought on the daily, still needs more room for retracement, followed by the RSI getting close to its signal line, which again could exacerbate the bearish momentum. But nonetheless, when you set limit orders at these major levels, they take out emotion. But there's going to be a lot of volatility, like I said, with rate cuts on the 17th. And so no telling where this goes from there. But if I was a betting man, I would say 226 and 218 for that. And then finally, with upcoming events, so we do have interest rate cuts on the 17th and then token 2049 end of September, beginning of October. So if any of you guys are going to be at that, let me know. Should be a good event as well. But with that, let's go ahead and answer some questions. All right, let's see what you guys got. I know we got a lot of questions here. Very active today, guys. Love it. All right. Eswar says, also CD, I have doubt when taking a trade. See what we have chart pattern forming. So should we look at the basic SR lines or should we take a trade based on chart pattern? I would say both, Eswar. I would say both. But if you had to choose one or the other, I would do support resistance versus chart patterns, because those more people are looking at chart patterns versus SR, or more people are looking at SR lines versus chart patterns. But if you can have them both, just like we had with the ETH descending wedge, then it's a nice trade. Nick, is Solidity on Polygon a good choice for developing Web3 betting app, or would you recommend another Solidity compatible chain or switch to Rust-based blockchains? Ooh, great question, Nick. So I know that some people are coding with Rust, but some people are also coding with Golang. So if you can do Golang as another coding language, that would probably be best, since I've seen a lot more adoption of that over the past few months. So yeah, I'm not as well versed though on coding, to be honest with you. So I would ask ChatGPT what's the best one and what's your long-term vision with that and what's going to be the best for adoption as well as reliability, etc. OBY says, what's your opinion about Pangu? I'm still bullish on Pangu. I would DCA near 3.2 cents and 3 cents, or 3.2 and 2.9 cents, because I believe Q4 is going to be bullish for Pangu. Luca Nets has a lot of big things in store. Baki Tior says, is that a good time to buy in the long term, or should we wait the dump? So DCing at those major support levels would be a good time to buy. Hacks, what should I look to buy? Do I wait until tomorrow or Wednesday? Potentially wait until Wednesday, but I mean, we talked about a few good coins, good tokens, and their support levels like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana. So I'll look to get those. And then potentially AVNT, so Avantis. If you can get that near $1, great entry. Super Gringo, how much is the premium group? So it's 1 Ethereum for a yearly subscription for the Gym Hunters premium group. So the link to that is in the description, as well as if you're not in the free group, join that in the Telegram description as well. Kaiser says, these coins are performing good. Yes, they are. Callum, what do you think about a few projects looking at Rect, Collat, Ray, Memo for RWA staking narratives and AI memes? So Ray isn't bad. I'm not as familiar with the others, to be honest with you. For RWA tokens, though, I would say C-Pool is a pretty good one, CPOOL, and then maybe Syrup, which is Maple Finance, and then Ondo, which is, the standard RWA one. Eric, how you doing, Data? Just got in. Hey, Eric, doing great. Good to see you here, man. Florina, hello from Romania. Awesome. I love Romania. Awesome place. Mr. Me says, love from Egypt. Awesome. Egypt is great, too. I want to visit there. I want to see the pyramids, Mr. Me. Definitely always hear a lot of good things about the pyramids. Ibrahim says, I'm watching stream from Uzbekistan. Love Uzbekistan as well. Still haven't visited there. Still on the list, on the bucket list there. El Hussein says, shorting hype for 54, stop loss at break even. Awesome. Good trade. Stoned in Paradise says, hey, John, quick and soul trades. And what are thoughts on hype moving forward? Where are good areas to DCA, and should I leave hype for AVNT? So great question, Stoned. So as far as should you leave hype for AVNT, I don't know necessarily if you should leave it. I believe you should invest in tandem with hype. So if we go to the 15-minute where I drew my SR lines, I mean, AVNT is doing amazing. Like, this token is insanely strong, guys. Like, when you see a token respecting its SR lines like it is, that's how this is the making of a great token, okay? Like, even here, I'm trying to see if this would be, yeah, even here, I mean, you could see it's somewhat of a descending wedge, right? I mean, granted, it's not the best. I'm not saying this is perfect. But as you can see, I mean, there is something there of a descending wedge breaking out, right? So, yeah, so AVNT, if you can get it near $1.05, $1.06, that'd be a great entry. And then below that, around 90 cents would be another great entry. So, yeah, AVNT is amazing. Resistance right now is going to be at 126, followed by 150. I still think it goes higher, though. Great call again by our Gym Hunters in the premium group. One of them called this, so great to see on there. Now, let's go ahead and answer a few more questions. All right, let's see. Learning Man says, investor trade, where did you make more money? Ooh, so Learning Man, I would say investing, because trading is very volatile. It's very hard to master trading. Investing, you're better off investing in good projects with good fundamentals and calling it good. Because, I mean, just look at NVIDIA, Tesla, all those top companies, you would have been making bank if you'd invested in those and just held. Hey, what's going on? AJ? Good to see you here. AN says, greetings from... Ooh, is that... What flag is that? That flag looks so familiar. Let me know on G. Let me know what flag that is. It's... Yeah, I don't even want to say. I know a flag, but I don't even want to say or guess. Sam says, what do you think about Pendle? Pendle's okay, but no real strong opinion on it. AJ, what's the best support for Sui? Let me check. I think 330 wasn't bad, but let me double check and see. So, yeah, so let's go to the daily chart here. Yeah, so 340, 332, 315. If you can get Sui near 315, that'd be a great level. But DCAing, I would say between 330 and 340, DCA would be a good level for Sui. See what else we got. Mr. Me, first time in crypto, what's your recommendation? My recommendation is, one, learn support and resistance, because then you can learn when to buy, the best times to buy and sell. And then also follow legitimate people in the space, because there's so many. So let me actually link a couple legitimate people in the space for you. So, you know, I'll shamelessly shill myself, because I do provide a lot of good content. You know, I provide a lot of good content, so if you guys follow me, you'll get a lot of good stuff from there. Also, into Cryptoverse, Benjamin Cohen. This guy's one of the best macro analysts I know. Follow him as well. And then also Virtual Bacon. This guy is extremely good to follow. He has a lot of good live streams, a lot of good analysis for macro. So yeah, if you follow all three of those accounts, you will be good to go. Also, guys, if you haven't followed the Gem Hunters official X account, make sure you're following that as well. Growing every day and gaining more traction there. Now, let's see what other questions you guys have. And yeah, welcome to crypto. Glad to have you here. Brome says, are we going to get calls? Yes, you will get calls. There will be more calls in the Gem Hunters group, so stay tuned for that. Veer says, lactose or lactose-free milk? Ooh, good question. I think it just depends on your allergies and, you know, if you have any allergic reaction to lactose, and then go from there. I'm not against lactose, though. Like, I still drink vitamin D milk with lactose in it. So I'll be honest, though, I need to study more of the effects of lactose, but yeah, I still drink it. Mirza says milk is inflammatory, grass-fed or not. There you go, Mirza. No, there is some effects with that. You're 100% right. I mean, you also have milk, you know, it ends up generating more to estrogen, which, again, I mean, it's, as long as you're not drinking a whole lot of it, it's not too bad for you. But yeah, there's definitely, you know, always pros and cons, so definitely something to keep in mind. Anji says, what will the BTC price be in the bear? I think 70 to 80K. Steven, what is your expectation about interest rates? Went over that, but I do think that... Oop, got to go up. Let's see. I do think that we'll probably have 25 basis point cuts, and then we'll probably have a little drop and then a pump after. Hard fact, so AVNT, Alpha, let's see, V. Yeah, Alpha Victor November Tango. AVNT is Avantis, and it's like another Hyperliquid, except they have RWA on it as well, real world assets. Vu says, how are the ETFs looking on BTC and ETH? Yep, just went over that. Looking for probably some outflows today, so we don't know until the end of the day. Ed says, what percent did you put into AVNT? Ed, I am reluctant to say, but I did not get into AVNT. That was a great call, though. Cyrus, Sui or Sol, which one would you say is a bit more bullish? Gaming narrative is also big. Ooh, I would say Solana. So if I had to pick one, Cyrus, I'd say Solana. Philip, could you make TA for algo? There was a bull flag on W time frame and now forming bull flag on D time frame, if I see it correctly. Yeah, let me go ahead and check out algo real quick. Okay, let's see. So I will say I do see a descending triangle, which is technically a bearish pattern, right? So yeah, I do see a descending triangle on algo. So if it does end up breaking to the downside, I mean, I would look at the next area of support being near 19 cents. So the stock R side curving to the downside, R side curving to the downside, probably a few more days of dropping, unfortunately, for algo. Now, you were saying a bull flag. I think you were trying to say that this was the pole, right? And then potentially you were looking at, let me parallel channel here, and you were kind of looking like something like this. I'm assuming this is kind of what you were referring to for the bull flag. But again, this needs more touches on the bottom to be a correct bull flag. I would look at this as a descending triangle pattern that potentially could break to the downside. If it breaks to the upside, it's very bullish, but potentially breaks to the downside there. And then for the weekly, so weekly potentially looks a little bit better for a bull flag per se. If we can, you know, draw it like that, potentially. But I mean, yeah, I'd like to see a little bit more of a pull on the weekly, but nonetheless, not too bad. So just be wary of that daily chart and the descending triangle. All right, what else we got? Kaiser says, TA and F8 of these performing coins, pump, hype, plume. So pump, still relatively bullish, hype bullish, plume not as bullish. Pixel, any thoughts on price targets for Ondo? No thoughts for that. Potentially $2 to $3 long term. VM, I'm looking to move to Dubai as a trader. Do you have any recommendation for which firm I could use for the setup? No, I don't. If you're looking to like trade on a prop firm, I do not, unfortunately. Toji, hey everyone. I wanted help with Solana trading. Yep, just went over that. Toji, good to see you here. Went over major support on Solana at 226 and 220. Broadwick, what would be a good entry on AVNT? $1, 105. Sebastian, I only invest holding. How can I start trading? Learn support and resistance. The third video on the live tab from the bottom. So if you go to Jim Hunter's YouTube channel, go to the live tab and then go to the third video from the bottom. Technical analysis basics, then you can learn there. Bromes, where's the price of AVNT to buy spot? So you can buy it on BloFin, 1x spot, actually. Cyrus, best YouTube channel to learn TA? CryptoData, myself. Or the Jim Hunters, third video from the bottom. I go over a TA video, or even Rainer Tao. He has a great video on learning support and resistance. You can search support and resistance for beginners, and Rainer Tao, he's an Asian guy, very good. Philippos says, thanks for answering my question. How much capital should I allocate for Jim Hunter's trading signals except the subscription fee? So it just depends, right? I would recommend only 5 to 10% of your portfolio per trade. So if you have $2,000 trading portfolio, only $100 to $200. Hard facts, would you long Doge at 24? I think that's not a bad level, yeah, 23 to 24 cents. Hype, can you check out Pengu? Yeah, so I checked out the Pengu chart. 2.9 cents and 3.2 cents is a good area to long. VM, can you list some must-have crypto apps and websites? So Dex Screener is one, Coinbase app, BloFin app, and CoinGecko or CoinMarketCap. Those are some top ones. Adonis, thanks CD. Hey, no problem, Adonis. Golden Boy, what's up? What's up, Jupe? What about Jupe, Sensei? So Golden Boy, let's go ahead and check out Jupiter. Also, appreciate all the likes, guys. 106 likes. You guys are killing it on there. Much, much appreciated. Let's see. So Jupiter, man, Jupiter just hasn't been performing, guys. Honestly, like it's just sad. I mean, 50 cents maybe you can DCA. Honestly, I wouldn't be DCAing until a minimum 47 cents. Then even that, I look to DCA majority at 41 cents if we get there. But you can see the stock RSI is curving to the downside. RSI is curving to the downside. Still a couple more days of bearish action, guys. So I would not be eager to enter just yet. I'd wait for major support levels like 47 or 41. All right, let's see what else we got here. Niraj, when people on YouTube and X say that you can make generational wealth in this bull run, is it just clickbait or do they actually mean it? No, you can actually make generational wealth, but here's the thing, guys. You got to be able to be disciplined, right? You can't expect coins to go up 100x. Like you got to take profit on like a 30 to 50% rise, rotate that into something else, or have some long-term bags, medium-term bags, and short-term bags, and invest accordingly. But yeah, I mean, no, they're not. It's not clickbait, but it is hard. Okay, I'm not going to lie to you. It's not easy to make gen wealth, but if you're focused and you have emotional control and you're taking profits along the way, and you're not trying to hit 100x every time, then yes, compounding growth will make that gen wealth. If you have $1,000, I mean, heck, you need to do a lot of leverage trading to turn that 1,000 into it. But it's possible, Niraj. I've seen people do it. You just got to be insanely disciplined. Do a lot of research and then just, again, be able to take profit along the way. Hey, no problem, Tim. Pixel, any coins to enter right now for spot with price targets? No, just mainly the Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana trades I was talking about at those major support levels. Lewis, want to enter long on AVNT at 3x will be a good entry, 105 if you can get it. Waleed, can you teach us how to make major support resistance real quick? Because all my strategy is working with your major support resistance. Appreciate it, Waleed. So yeah, so support is just when you see price, where is it reaching and where is it rejecting from? That's your major resistance. And then what levels is it bouncing from? So here you can see it wicked down to 32 on Jupe, and then here 32 as well. So that would be a big area of support if we drew it, right? It's just where it bounces and where it rejects from on major time frames. So yeah, so you can see here, like I said, where it bounces from and where it rejects from. It's the easiest way to draw SR lines. And then even here, you could draw this as another SR line, right? Because it bounced here, it bounced here. That's the easiest way I can say to draw those. Okay, let's go ahead and see what other questions we have. Ooh, a lot of questions, guys. A lot of questions. Holy. Okay, what's going on? Jim Hunter's on top. Mirza says, would you take a trade if prices at support with stock RSI oversold, but RSI is around the middle? Yeah, I'd take that trade. How should the MAs behave ideally in such a situation? So the MAs, it should be near support. If it's bouncing off of the moving averages or it's still above it, then that's a good trade for longing. LMT, I sold 1/5 of my spot around 117K. Looking for purchase on a dip. What area would you suggest to look at? Want below 100K, but I know with the current sentiment, it's less possible. So let's see. Yeah, I would look at 112 to 114K. Also, guys, we're already past time for the stream, so I'm going to be answering these next questions fairly fast and not charting as much. Do you think it's a good time to sell Tesla stock given Elon recently bought $1 billion? No. No, I think Tesla's going to go even further from here because they're full automation, robo-taxis, and more. He has an incentive to pump the stock to 8.5 trillion market cap because of his recent $1 trillion package deal. Kalen, what do you think about the Appster memes? Appster and Rekt, also looking at Ray for a dip. Do you think Ray could sweep the lows for good potential? I think Ray could sweep the lows. Appster, probably good. I'm not sure about Rekt. I know Gooner was doing pretty good recently, but I'm not sure of the recent action. But yeah, just be careful with Appster memes. Like or I should say abstract memes, because there's not as much volume there. Pratik says, is there going to be stock calls and gem winners? Maybe, right? That is a possibility. Q tags, greetings from Fartcoin connoisseurs. Hey, Mirza, how do you guys find events so cheap? What's the alpha on getting these coins so early? Research. Nikolai, CD, can you take a look at Zeus chart? I think it already bought them. By the way, Indie Haas making more toys. Yeah, Nikolai, for Zeus, not looking at that too much right now, but I mean, if it's near good support, maybe. It's just the attention's not quite there anymore. Crypto OG, if you had $5,000, how would you invest that and why? Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, Hyperliquid, maybe AV&T, and then maybe a few small caps from there. But I'd make Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana maybe 40% of the portfolio, and then the other I would say high conviction alts 30%, and then leverage 10%, and then meme coins 10%, and then 10% stables. Hard Fact says, what do you think about WorldCoin? Still tentatively bullish. Moise, what websites do you use to get more data like CoinMarketCap and other ones? I use CoinGlass. CoinGlass is a great one, and DeFi Llama. And then Farsight Investors for ETF flows. Sakti, please do chart of Bella, Coin, Arting, Binance, and developing AI. Yeah, just going to try to quick fire these questions. Thoughts on Hyperliquid going to zero? Highly unlikely. Dreamer saying you should DCA from here on BTC at major support levels, yes. Mirza, I made some nice cash on your ETH trade indeed. Thanks, G. Hey, no problem, Mirza. Glad to hear. Bayo says Thursday jobless could be interesting. Thanks for the stream. Hey, appreciate that, Bayo. I'll keep that in mind as well. Mirza, it'd be great if we could get some TA on Troll. I may look at that at the very end. Ghost Rider, should I get out of Sui Trade, which gets licked around 313? Yeah, I don't know if it's going to, just because a lot of indicators are overbought and curving to the downside, so that may be best, Ghost Rider. I mean, if you're willing to lose that amount, sure, but I would say if it doesn't hold, if the daily closes below 333, I'd get out. ENA says futures or spot, what recommend me? If you're just now starting, spot's better, but when you have more experience, futures. Or if you're just following calls directly, you can still do futures like a Jim Hunter's call. Emmanuel, you think it's possible for Solana to break 300 this run? Absolutely. And for Dolan community, no, I'm not looking at that too much. Davindo says, could you please explain how the indicator works? Yeah, so basically these just show price strength and greed versus fear. So the more greedy people get, the more chance we're going to have a pullback, and the more fearful people get when it's oversold, the more chance it's going to have a bounce. Mirza says, are you still bullish on Fartcoin? What are your thoughts on virtual right now? I'm still bullish on Fartcoin tentatively. Thoughts on virtual? No thoughts currently. I mean, it's an AI token, so it still could do good on base, but yeah, if it's holding support, it could be good. Legend, is the Jupe token dead? I heard the team is dumping on holders. It doesn't look the best, Legend. I'm not going to lie to you, man. We just looked at the chart here. I mean, 50 cents. It hasn't been performing well. And I mean, it's, you know, if we have some type of catalyst for it, yes, but it doesn't help if the team is dumping tokens. Again, if it's rumored, I don't know if that's confirmed or not. Hack says, appreciate you, CD. Stay blessed. Hey, stay blessed, Hacks. Appreciate you. Akazamar says, when do you think the next meme coin run will start and how long do you think it'll start? Hard to say. Like, meme coins don't really have their time. It's just kind of, they come in, you know, spurts, right? Like, they'll pump 1 week and then dump 1 week. So, I think it's going to be very sporadic. Ben, how much going to cost your own? Yeah, be affordable for all, Ben. Greenland, Netherlands, man. Hey, Netherlands. Great to hear. Awesome. Awesome. I definitely want to visit the Netherlands. Seems like a great place. Greetings, Andrea. Awesome, Andrea. Appreciate that. CH, Maximilian has that flag. Oh, is that Portugal or which one is that? Which one is that, Maximilian? CHC, love from Pakistan. Hey, I love Pakistan as well. Awesome country. Maximilian, probably been asked, but would you hold your bags until 2026 if it just doesn't pump or dump until the end of 2025? Thanks. Most likely, yeah. I would take some profits by like end of November, beginning of December, and then end of January, just to be on the safe side. But yeah, I do think that we still have some room to go. Mika, thoughts on Ondo? Still tentatively bullish since the RWA token. Nikolai says raw milk. Yeah, raw milk is really, really good. Maximilian, soy milk, bro. Cow's milk is for babies, literally. Soy milk? No way, Maximilian. I cannot do soy milk. Way too much estrogen with that one. Again, everyone has their own right to choose what they want to drink. I cannot do soy personally. Nikolai, I don't have any raw milk near me in my city. Hey, no problem. Just vitamin D grass-fed milk if you have to drink something. CH, sir, please tell me what do you think about the XRP. Should I buy? I mean, if it gets near $3, it'd be a good buy level. Or 270, actually. 270 is good support. Lactic acid, Mista. Yep. Maximilian, soy, almond, oat milk. You don't need mother's milk from another. Maximilian is on the vegan diet. I see. Greenland, A2 milk if you have lactose issues. But yeah, no, I do not like soy. Let's see. The Poorest says, do you think Bitcoin will hit 99K before the pump? I don't think it'll hit 99K. I think maybe the lowest 110 to 108. Let's see, Steven, what do you think about Pyth? No thoughts on it. It had a nice pump, actually, when Solana was pumping. So it could be good as a beta play, especially Radium, as beta plays are good, too. Let's see, VM, I mean, a setup for Emirates ID and registering a firm in Dubai, not a prop firm. Sorry for not being clear. Oh, gotcha. I do not actually VM, unfortunately. But I do know there's a lot of resources out there. Probably ask ChatGPT. Probably give you the best answer. Hard facts. Think Solana can touch all-time high or 264? Absolutely. I think Solana's going to go 350 to 500 this cycle. Oh, that's unfortunate, Magic. You can't drink milk anymore. It's so good. The Poor, hit the like button. Respect his work. Yes, guys. Appreciate that. 134 viewers, 116 likes. Almost a 1-to-1 now. Appreciate all the likes. Steven, is it good in crypto space based on coin news? Coins news. Yeah, so we're still bullish on crypto. 100%. So Mirza, I don't take ETH and SOL liquidation heat maps into consideration before doing a leverage trade, but it's still possible. But I have more conviction with Bitcoin liquidation heat maps since they're so prevalent. But yeah, I may start looking at liquidation heat maps for SOL and ETH. Let's see, Long Train Investor says, what do you think about Aether? Will it pump or pull back soon? Great question. Aether, they just have a lot of unlocks from early investors. That's why I'm not as bullish on that. Although it was nice with you know, the mini DPIN season we had for those few days. Magic says 6.6K subscribers, crazy low for how good these guys are. Hey, appreciate you, Magic. Yeah, it's a long time coming. We're slowly building up to that 10K level, then we'll go really start amplifying it from there. But we just try to provide you guys the best content as we can. Nick says Meow said he doesn't care about price. So yeah, that doesn't help with Jupiter's price. Yeah, I do drink a lot of water as well. Magic, let's see. Yo, it says, do you think Axiom will do an airdrop? Yes, I do. A lot of these perps exchanges are going to do airdrops, so definitely try to have some volume on them. Hard facts, what would you long right now if you have $1,600? I'd probably long either Solana between 220 to 226 or Ethereum between 4,300 to 4,480, but probably long Solana before I long Ethereum. Emmanuel, what Solana coins do you think are performing well for midterm? Great question. I'd probably look at Radium and I'd have to look at the charts for the others, but Radium is usually a good beta play. Hustle Fit, what's your opinion on compounding capital? Continue to 2-3 months without withdrawal. I think it's good. Compounding capital adds up. Bayo says, thoughts on high leverage short-term long, like 1 minute or 5 minute for rate cuts on Wednesday? No, I'd stay away from that. I'd stay away from that 100%. Volatility is going to be crazy. Yeah, Cyrus, as far as what would be a good rotation in this bull run, I think you're fine switching, you know, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, Hyperliquid, AVNT now, and then potentially a few others. But it's just, I mean, you're going to have some memes pop up, different narratives pop up, so it's going to be very reactionary for a lot of these. But I'll try to keep you guys apprised along the way. Sorry, he says, what do you think about Aubrey from Bio Protocol? No thoughts on that. I know Bio is the whole DeSci, decentralized science, but I'm not as familiar with those tokens on that platform. Bayo, could you live stream the speech? Tell us what you think as you listen. I may do that, Bayo. That's actually not a bad point. That's actually a very, very good point there. I may do that. I'll most likely do it on my YouTube channel. Mirza, how would you properly calculate your risk-reward ratio since you take out 50% TP1 and the RR gets messed up? Can't be properly measured with the long and short position tool. Mirza, that's another great point. I had someone ask me the same. So RR isn't as good just on, if you only reach TP1, but when you reach TP2 and 3, then it gets to be like a 1.5 to a 2 to 1, and it gets really good from there. So at that point, if you want to adjust and take, let's say, more at TP1, like 75%, so your RR isn't as messed up, you could do that. But yeah, what I would do is I would try to average it out and calculate it based on where TP2 is at, because usually it's a 50-50 shot if that's going to get hit. So that's what I would calculate the RR off of. And you could just kind of average it out yourself, right? And then see what the risk reward is going to be from there. Lewis says, what indicators tell you is good enough for any trade? RSI, stock RSI, moving averages, and support and resistance lines. Pixel, do you think SoFi stock will pump significantly following the rate cuts? I'm not as apt on SoFi stock, so I don't want to give an opinion on that, but I'll check it out. Sergi, hey, I'm a beginner. All this very interesting and learning. Awesome. How often do you do these streams? Sergi, so appreciate that. I do these weekly live streams once per week, but then I do learning live streams once per week as well. It was usually on Sunday, but I'm going to have that tomorrow, so it'll be a good stream on there. Stone says, thoughts on ChainGPT? No thoughts on that. Andrew, what are your thoughts on World Liberty Fi and its DeFi collab Dolo? Also, can you check? So World Liberty Fi, good long near 20 cents if you can get it, 20, 21 cents. I'm bullish on World Liberty Fi long term. Dolo, fairly bullish on that as well. El Hussein, quick hype analysis. Okay, we'll look at that in a minute. Thank you for the ETH call. I made $328 after fees. Awesome, Jim Hunter. Good to hear. Akshay, YoCD, your flag game is too bad. Let's see. Maximilian's from Germany. Ah, nice. I still want to visit Germany. Dreamer, thanks, CD, for everything you have. No idea how helpful you've been to me in this space, and I hope someday I can meet you and thank you. Hey, appreciate that, Dreamer. Much love as well. Let's see. By the way, what book are you reading recently? So there's a few books that I've looked at. I know Luke actually shared a book. It was more of a lifestyle book, if you will, on really psychology and just life, and it was called Outsmarting Reality. And so check that book out. It's by Nero Knowledge, and so that's another one that you can order off Amazon. Outsmarting Reality, good for manifesting reality and getting into the quantum realm. Let's see. Ghost Rider, why is India the second richest country in terms of BTC? Interesting. They could be adopting it slowly but surely. Steven says, from Ethiopia, I love this live stream doing well. Hey, awesome. Ethiopia is a great place. Golden Boy, drink goat milk, more gains. We got the whole milk discussion going on here, guys. Okay, let's see. What's your favorite meme coin right now that you hold? Favorite meme coin? Probably Bucky on Solana, because the guy who's doing the CTO, Donnie, he's a great guy, and he's done great with Bucky so far. Let's see. Santi says, thoughts on e-commerce or drop shipping? I think they're both great. I think they provide good passive income and good opportunities if you want to get into something and make some money. Crypto OG, quickly, what's your thoughts on Zbeck Network and Caspa? No thoughts on Zbeck Network or Caspa. I mean, really kind of 50-50 on those. Let's see. Kaiser says, do you know, Abu Cartel, your thoughts on him and his analysis? Yeah, he's fairly good, Kaiser. Walter, what do you think about physical silver? I think it's great to have, 100%. And then Ben says, airdrops equal free shorts. There you go. Sakti, please do Bell analysis, bro. Okay, I'll look at Bell and hype. Thanks for the advice. Love from Palestine. Hey, love Palestine as well. Sorry. Awesome, awesome stuff. All right, I think the stream may be freezing. So hopefully it's not, but could be freezing. So I'm going to give it a sec real quick. No thoughts on Dolan, Kareem. Okay, so let's do Bell and hype real quick, and then we will end the stream. So let's see. So Bell on here. This chart does not look good, but if you're looking to buy, I'd buy at potentially 23 cents and then 20 cents for Bell, with resistance at 27 cents and 31 cents. So again, still rejecting, so I would wait until 23 cents at the very least. And then looking at Hyperliquid. So same thing here. I mean, man, this thing has just had an amazing run. So potentially some support near $51, maybe. I mean, where it reaches last high. but then resistance obviously 57. So yeah, Hyperliquid is very close to crossing to the downside on the RSI. Stock RSI is crossing to the downside. So like I said, guys, maybe a few more days of down before we get that relief bounce. So, but yeah, Hyperliquid at 51, be a good buy, and then DCA down to 49 afterwards. So, but let's see, any last minute questions? Hustle, yeah, I think that's possible. You just gotta be very disciplined. Very, very disciplined with the calls and leverage. Let's see. Hack says Nero's channel is really good as well, CD. Awesome. All right, good. Glad the stream wasn't lagging for you guys. So with that, guys, that is going to do it. Again, I love you guys so much. I appreciate all the support, all the likes, the comments, everything. It means the world. If you guys aren't following me on X, please do so at the CryptoData. I provide the best content, best free content for you guys. Also check my pinned message as well. And I make sure you guys are as well informed in the space so you can navigate accordingly, because there is so much noise in the space. So the quicker you can silence that and actually focus on what matters, the quicker you can become profitable in this market. So love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Appreciate it. And have a great week. Talk to you soon. See you guys.